Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from the hallowed halls of TGIA Tower in Salt Lake City of Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast,
I'm Frank.
and I'm Dan.
Coming up on today's episode.
Spooky.
So we'll be talking about that. And
Yeah, we will. We'll be trick-or-treating with you guys.
Ooh.
Can we all go trick-or-treating
just
together?
treats. Just treats, people.
Yeah, just treats.
No tricks.
Actually, I love tricks.
You like a trick?
I miss tricks.
You want to bring back the trick.
I want to bring back tricks, not like mean pranks, like people egging people's houses.
No,
I'm
that's
not
terrible.
okay with that. But
Yeah.
tricks are fun. Where are the pranks?
Yeah.
We've gone all. It's just become sexy time. Everybody dress up sexy time now.
No, I really kind of hate that, actually.
Oh, I hate it.
The whole, I don't.
I'm a sexy nurse. I'm a sexy sanitation worker.
Yeah.
I'm a sexy Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
That was a real one. Sexy Bert and Ernie.
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
On the interwebs. Sexy Bert and Ernie.
Oh, that's sad. That's
Ladies.
It was ladies? That
Yeah,
did
oh,
it?
yeah. Get your titties out, ladies, because it's time for sexy Muppets.
I was hoping it was a gay couple
You'd think.
that was...
No, it's boobs.
That they'd done their time at the gym.
Right?
For...
It should be a gay couple.
Yeah.
That I could at least kind of get behind.
Yeah.
But no, this was girls.
Bert worked out. You can tell.
Bert
Of the
got
two.
Bert was a little obsessive about it. It got annoying afterwards. It's just like, Bert, okay, you can go, but stop talking about it.
Yeah.
And I fixed you this nice meal. You can't just go and eat your protein shake,
I know.
says Ernie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's annoying.
so what do you got? What's going on in the world? There are things out there happening, and we're supposed to tell everybody about them.
Yeah, well, this week something... Well, I became aware. Anyways, Oprah.
Yes.
Oprah is pissing off the atheists.
She sure as hell is.
What the hell?
Only because she doesn't believe in us.
Yeah, she doesn't. She's one of those.
Such a this really was a bitch move on her part.
It really was.
Go ahead and tell the story.
So, so Oprah is interviewing the long distance swimmer, Diana Nyad.
Nyad. Yeah.
Diana Nyad.
Mm-hmm.
Nyad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who this is the woman who just swam from like Cuba, right?
To Florida. First, oldest person ever to do it. First person ever to do it without a shark cage.
Yeah. I mean, she tried a couple different times, and then she just this woman can swim.
This woman's an ass kicker.
I don't know why you would do this to yourself. I mean, I saw like video of her coming up out of the water, and she was all puffy and like a mess. Like, why would you do that?
Frank's concerned about
puffy mess.
Frank's concerned about the aesthetic ramifications.
Just looked awful, and she was like having a hard time walking, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Anyways, so if I were Oprah, that's what I would have questioned her about.
Okay.
Instead, Oprah...
You would have gone down the puffy road.
I would have gone, why did you let yourself get so puffy?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, and there's a danger there because sharks think puffy is really delicious.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Oprah knows puffy. So... I could see her being bothered by that. And just, why would you let yourself get puffy?
Anyway.
So Oprah... They're having their little conversation, and Nyad talks about sort of the awe and the beauty, right of she says, I can stand at the beach's edge with the most devout Christian, Jew, Buddhist, go down the line and weep with the beauty of this universe and be moved by all humanity. All the billions of people who have lived before us, who have loved and hurt and suffered. So to me, my definition of God is humanity and is the love of humanity. And she uses the word atheist to describe herself.
Right.
And Oprah says, well, I don't call you an atheist then. I think if you believe in the awe and the wonder and the mystery, then that is what God is. That is what God is. It's not a bearded guy in the sky. And Naiad reiterated her lack of belief in a divine being.
Yeah.
But non-believers who were watching at home were bothered.
Off-put.
Yeah.
She's a little off-putting.
Yeah, well...
And as the joke goes, she should probably be off-putting. Because she's fat. Pudding. Off-putting. It's not my joke. Anyway. Well, here's what's amazing about this. Here's my take on the whole Oprah thing.
Okay.
She says, well, I don't call you an atheist then because God is that awe, that wonder, that blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, Oprah? I call you an atheist.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you just admitted.
Yeah.
You don't believe in the bearded guy in the sky? That's theism.
Yeah. That's God.
You don't have theism. You are atheist. You're an atheist.
Right.
Biznatch, what up? I called you out, Oprah. Come on, get me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Oprah's an atheist, and she just doesn't know what words mean.
Well, I don't know. I think I don't know that I would go that far with Oprah because you're using one sentence to figure out what she believes.
Yeah, I'm doing exactly what she did to Naiad.
Well, yeah, you're right. That's fair. That's totally fair.
Naiad uses one sentence and a beautiful statement at that.
Yeah.
Like a statement that is actually quite lovely.
Right.
And really conciliatory and just genuinely like awesome.
Right.
And Oprah's like, fuck you, you're not an atheist. You believe in Jesus, you just don't know it.
So here on television, I'm going to try to convince you that you're not.
Right, exactly.
Rather than maybe backstage afterward continuing that conversation.
Right, I mean, which
would have been appropriate.
It's a fascinating conversation, but just to say, I'm not going to call you an atheist.
Right.
Would she say, well, to a transsexual, well, I'm not going to call you he because you used to be a she.
Well, I watched the video, and I have to say that had it not been televised, I think the conversation would have been just fine. Right. I think somebody saying to somebody else when they don't understand what the person's saying, well, right. and just saying, well, I that's not my understanding. I wouldn't use that word. And then having a conversation about it is just fine. Oprah did it on it's hard to call it national television, but on
cable
her basic cable channel that I suppose people watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Oprah.
Yeah.
I guess people still watch it.
I think there are certain people, I think most housewives, there are like laws in place that require them to watch it.
To watch OWN.
Own.
Oprah Winfrey Network.
Yeah.
I assume that's what it...
Naiad got owned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pwned.
I honestly think that you're right. It was... it's... Because Naiad probably would have been able to handle that conversation just great. But when you are on a segment that is a short segment and you're on somebody else's TV show and that somebody else happens to be one of the most powerful people in the world,
right?
What are you gonna do?
Well, I still, again, I watched more of the clip than just that one moment,
right?
And I do think Naiad handled it. I think that she kept saying her thing. She kept talking about, but what was really strange about the exchange was that Naiad just kept saying her thing, and Oprah just kept saying her thing. They didn't actually
just
ever have a discussion about it.
Right.
Like Naiad didn't try to explain it further, and Oprah didn't really ask questions further, other than to just stick with their initial statements and almost just reiterate them
in a short conversation. By definition, it has to be a short conversation. There's just not much you can do.
Yeah.
So,
the article that I read about this, there was some pretty interesting ideas being thrown around by the atheists who were responding.
Yeah.
One of them, Ryan Cragen, an associate professor of psychology at the University of Tampa, who studies atheists, says Americans are beginning to realize that there are atheists, but they don't really know who or what atheists are.
Oh, that's a good point.
They likely still think atheists are just crotchety old men saying, "Your God doesn't exist." Thus, when they encounter an actual atheist who says, "I'm constantly amazed at the world we live in, and it makes me stop and wonder all the time," they are surprised. Much like Oprah.
I gotta think. I would love. You know what we should do?
Yeah.
You and I should do some man on the street interviews and just ask people what an atheist is. Just try and get a real sense of like what atheists look
that
like.
Would be interesting
to
actually.
Average people.
Yeah, that's interesting.
In Salt Lake or whatever. That would be interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody write to us and remind us to do that because we're gonna forget as soon as we move on.
No.
Anywho, well, there you go, Oprah. That's a thing. I'm gonna take us to France.
What? Lovely place.
Because there has been a conviction in France, and it has been upheld. It is a conviction of the Church of Scientology.
Oh.
And they have been ordered to pay 600,000 euros.
Wow.
It's a lot of euros. It's about $812,000.
Wow.
In fines
these days.
Yeah, exactly. But they're paying these fines for preying financially on followers in the 1990s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good on France.
Do you know what they were doing?
What?
The same shit that they do here. Nothing more.
No way.
They were just pressuring people into giving their money away to the church.
Wow. They
were putting people on e-meters.
Wow.
One of the people that sued was an employee of the Church of Scientology, and she claims that she was forced by the Scientology Church to undergo testing, meaning like probably the e-meters and all that stuff, and enroll in courses back in the 90s. Wow. And when she refused, she was fired.
That's rude.
Yeah. So
but that's what the religion is.
Right.
It's about taking courses and paying for them.
Yeah. But you can't actually force an employee to do so in France. So here's the interesting thing about France. First of all, they just see this as a cult. They don't acknowledge it as any kind of religion,
right?
Of any repute. So they're not really worried about pissing them off. But Scientology as an organization, they came out and they sort of decried this, and they're going to sue in the European court to get it overturned, and they're going to do they're saying this is about religious freedom and religious liberty, and it's a travesty of justice,
right?
Blah blah blah. And in fairness, maybe they're right. Because what they're doing is they're putting a shit ton of pressure on their members to give a lot of their money. Well, guess what, France? Have you met the Catholics? They're kind of big where you are.
Yeah.
It's been going on for a while now.
Putting pressure for giving. Yeah, I think the way that it works in Scientology is a little different and perhaps a little more of a refined process.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And they're not asking for as much. I mean, God, and it's Scientologists basically want you to give up everything.
Yeah,
So
I would say go after the Mormons.
Yeah,
because the Mormons use extortion.
Oh my God, the Mormons are amazing. You and I were talking about this earlier today. Yeah. The Mormons are like the amount of pressure that they will put that is brought to bear on every individual Mormon. Like every individual Mormon that's of age, goes into the bishop of their ward every year and has to account for themselves and basically
account for their tithing.
Well, account for everything, basically. Yeah. I mean, you have to...
But it's called the tithing settlement.
Right.
So it's about the money you've given to the church.
Right. And the bishop will look you in the eye and say, hey, is this really 10% of your income? Yeah. He won't make you produce documents, but he'll make you feel like a dick.
Right.
If you're not giving your full 10%. And then there are consequences too, like you can't go to the temple if you're not paying a full tithe. Yep. And that may not mean much because everybody hates going to the temple. But if your brother...
There are those who love it.
But if your sister's getting married, the whole family finds out that you can't go into the temple.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's that public shaming.
Right, exactly. So it's very clever and very insidious how they operate it.
Yep.
So...
Anyway, so there you go.
And that's 10% of your income.
Yeah.
And that's 10% pre-tax is the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. Gross.
Yeah.
10% gross, and it feels gross when they do when they do it.
So it's actually a huge chunk of your income.
It is indeed.
I always resented it as a child.
Leaving the Mormon
So
church is like getting the best raise you'll ever get in your life.
Oh yeah.
Who gets a 10% raise? It's a good one.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I want to go to, at least for this story, to Iran.
Ooh.
Where 4 Christians have been sentenced to 80 lashes for drinking alcohol. And in what context, do you ask?
Oh, it's not communion.
Communion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a few weeks ago, we were
everything is right about this. This feels right.
We were talking about how sort of Iran has I think we were talking about a large Jewish community, right? And there were these tweets going out about oh, happy, or good Rosh Hashanah or whatever it was, right?
All this conciliatory sort of...
from people high up in the government and whatnot. And it was oh, wow, Iran, we never really hear stories from Iran about
tolerance
of other religions and whatnot.
Certainly not Jews.
In particular, right?
Yeah.
Christians, you think would just kind of fly under the radar compared to Jews. Well, I guess not so much. They decided that they needed to give them 80 lashes for drinking wine during a communion service. And then there's also something else tacked in there, so I don't know how many of these lashes were for that. And then they also possessed a satellite antenna, which I would assume...
You know what, though? I it's hard for me to feel bad for these Christians because they know where the fuck they are.
Yeah, but it's also their home.
Yeah, but it's the law of the land that you're not allowed to drink alcohol.
Right.
They were breaking the law.
Oh, you mean that? Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying lashes. You're in Iran. You can't drink alcohol.
Right.
So you don't need your blood of Christ. You can use grape Kool-Aid for the blood of Christ.
Exactly. There have been plenty of Christian groups.
Yeah.
Notably the Mormons, who don't use wine. Right.
Yeah.
Or who maybe sometimes use wine and or allow for substitutions when it's appropriate.
Is there an O'Doul's of wine? Is there I guess
it's just cooking wine,
grape juice,
right?
Cooking wine probably still has alcohol in it.
That stuff you get at the supermarket,
doesn't it?
I highly doubt it.
Cooking sherry.
It's being sold at the supermarket in Utah.
Well, yeah, I guess it can't be.
Yeah,
or just grape juice. Get some Welch's.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, as Mormons, we were told that the wine that Jesus drank was just grape juice.
Yeah,
that was a lie.
Didn't you know that? Didn't you know that, Dan?
Man, when I found out that was a lie, I was pissed. I was like, come on. You can. It's a sticky wicket to say that Jesus drank wine, but we can't. But
I don't know why you can't just manage that and say, well, in that day and age, it was fine, and we have new commandments that have come to light today.
Right. It's an easy out.
It seems like it should be, but anyways.
So
there are charges. I'm sorry, not charges. There's been a United Nations report that is criticizing the Islamic Republic of Iran for persecuting non-Muslims, and so basic human rights violations. They're saying because one of the basic human rights is freedom of religion, and so they're apparently some of the things that they're trying to get after Iran on are the fact that it's punishable by death for a Muslim to convert to anything besides Islam.
Right.
So
you can, as long as you were never a Muslim, you can bounce around from religion to religion. But
yeah,
and it says that in the Quran, I think.
It does, but it's horrifying when
you're not allowed to actually go through with that.
Right.
As a government, you're not allowed to make that your law.
No, you say, well, that's nice.
Right.
But not here.
You do what we do with all religion. You go, it's a cute idea. We're not going to make that law, but thanks.
And just to also, one more little fact.
Yeah.
370,000 Christians in Iran.
Yeah,
That's
plenty.
a big number.
And they all do it without alcohol.
Well,
I get the sense that these guys are subversives anyway. If they had a satellite dish as well, they're clearly trying to subvert. They're clearly like a little bit on the edgy side.
But I grant that to them. I think that when you live in a society as repressive as Iran, I don't care why you're subverting. I don't care. I say, you know what? That is what happens.
Yeah,
Iran.
It's true.
When you're as douchebaggery, as big a douchebags as you are to whatever
Iran.
Groups,
or when you're Iran, when you're being
yeah.
Well, I mean, I hear that, but I also say, if you break the law of the country that you're in, you can expect lashes.
Yes, you can, even though
I'm not saying that
you should still be standing up against it.
I'm not saying that Iran's in the right, but
But what I'm kind of sort of hearing from you, and I don't know that I want that it's what you're saying, is like, no, that's a shitty thing to say. It's because like
what?
when people are working and striving for civil rights, it's a shitty thing to say to them. Well, sorry.
No, I'm saying pick your battles. I'm saying don't fucking drink wine. Do something that's going to have an actual effect in the society. You know what I mean?
But what has an effect? I mean, I think that they would look at that and they would say, you know, we're standing up for what we believe. We're practicing our religion as it's been commanded us, right? And so they're going to do it. That's their way of standing up. You know, I mean, civil rights marchers, right? Like, what is that? What, you know, from your perspective,
you're seeing the drinking of wine for their sacrament as an act of civil disobedience?
I do.
I'm skeptical of that. I think they just wanted to get drunk.
I highly doubt that, Jan.
Just kidding. I don't know. It's a question. We're not going to resolve it here, that's for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it is an interesting thought. I don't know where to fall on that.
I mean, it's tough because, like, in the one respect, I have this impulse of just being like, oh, silly Christians.
Right.
You know, how much better your life would be without this religion of yours.
Sure.
But they live in a theocracy.
Right.
And so all the rules kind of change for me on that one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I hear what you're saying. It makes sense to me. So now I just don't know where I stand.
Oh, okay.
I think that if that's their gesture, I feel like that's a stupid gesture, but I can't blame people for like not knowing which good gesture to choose.
Right.
And they're getting publicity, they're getting press, they've got the international community coming down. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this was the right choice.
Yeah, because a march is out of the question.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's tons of things that sort of in our society we would think, well, why wouldn't you just go do that instead? But that would be completely out of the question.
Right. Not just that, it would be instead of lashes you get death.
Exactly.
Or something.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe there.
And I say
there
tempt lashes, don't tempt death.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay. So there we go.
Okay, cool.
In Utah.
Oh,
have you ever heard
home.
Have you heard of Utah? It's a state in the middle of the United States of America.
Time.
Anyway, so we reported, or rather, I think you and Adam reported that the Utah State Tax Commission has always linked its filing status rules to the IRS filing status rules, to the national filing status rules. And what happened recently was that DOMA was the Defense of Marriage Act was struck down by, or key provisions of it were struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court,
right?
Which means that now the U.S. Treasury, the IRS, is allowing gay couples who are legally married to file jointly,
right?
The way straight couples have always been able to do,
right?
Which meant that unless Utah changed their rules, Utah would allow gay couples to file jointly too.
Right. Gay couples who were married in another jurisdiction.
Who are married in other states, because gay marriage is not allowed in the United States, in Utah.
Right.
Well, they did it. Utah changed their policy so that
douches.
They would reject joint tax filings by same-sex couples.
I mean, you could see it coming. a mile away.
Right, yeah. And when you guys reported it, what you talked about was how, it would cost the state a lot of money to make this change and blah, blah, blah. But apparently their hatred of gays supersedes their love of money and
fiscal responsibility.
And there you go.
Wow. Okay, so what's happening? Is there any response?
Basically so I don't think there can be like a legal response until someone has had a chance to actually file.
Right.
There hasn't been, I mean, obviously there's been outcry from the gay community and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I'm guessing what's going to happen is a bunch of gay couples are just going to file jointly in Utah.
Right.
And see what happens.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, in the article in the Salt Lake Tribune, they basically said, we don't have the resources to police this.
Right.
So I think a lot of these gay couples are going to file jointly, and it's just going to go through.
Yeah.
And they're just going to get their returns back, and it's just never going to be noticed.
I know. It was interesting. I didn't see the actual editorial in the Tribune, but I saw a letter to the editor a day or two after that was referencing the editorial board at the Tribune and calling them out, just angry,
right?
That they would suggest that the gay couples should just go ahead and do it. So the Tribune was like, well, if you can't police it, then gay couples do it.
Right.
Go
ahead. Get out there. Well, and what's amazing is that what that does is, of course, if the state tax commission does police it, does catch somebody and say no, that's when the state tax commission opens themselves up to the lawsuit.
Exactly.
And then,
so then
12 years from now, we may have a decision on it.
Right. And hopefully before that time, something will have happened nationally.
Right, exactly. But that's where
to make it a moot point.
I just wanted to make sure that we got that information out there for any of our listeners, any of our Utah listeners who might have thought that they were totally in the clear.
Yeah.
You can file that way. You'll be technically wrong,
but the state probably won't catch you.
But especially if you have
but if they do catch you, hey, you're in luck. There's probably some money to help run that
exactly
that court case.
Contact the ACLU and the Human Rights Campaign.
Yeah.
See what you can get done.
All right. Are you familiar, Dan, with the tradition of sitting Shiva? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know all of the reasons behind it, if there are any. It's a Jewish tradition. Why don't you tell everybody?
It's a Jewish tradition. After someone dies, there's a 7-day mourning period known as Shiva.
Right.
And one of the traditions that surrounds it is that friends and neighbors provide food for the bereaved during those 7 days.
Sure.
And
it's like sitting with the body. Traditionally, I think, or maybe with like ultra orthodox, you have to sit actually with the body.
That I do not know.
Different thing.
You may need
there was
to do a little research.
Well,
on
no,
that
there was a This American Life, in which one of their contributors told the whole story about how he used to have a job, a paid job, to go to these different morgues and sit with the body overnight until they were buried or whatever.
Oh, okay. That I do not know.
Maybe that's not Shiva. Maybe that's a different...
Exactly. I believe this is just a mourning period.
This is just a mourning... Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
So, anyways. What ends up happening oftentimes is that the family ends up with a lot of unused food.
Oh, okay. Sure.
And from whatever... They get a lot of deli plates, apparently.
Yeah, sure. As you would.
And so... This woman by the name of Sharon Rosen, she decided that there needed to be sort of an online service, much like a wedding registry, that would help Jewish families during this time of mourning to be able to say what they needed, what they didn't need. And so there's now shivaconnect.com. And it works as a wedding, basically a funeral or a Shiva registry.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And it's you can search by the deceased's name, and visitors can find links for online memorial donations, or search for the nearest deli.
That's amazing.
There's also an email alert system to remind mourners to honor the memory of the deceased on the anniversary of their death,
right?
Which is a Jewish tradition.
Yeah.
And what's so apparently, like, there have been plenty of funeral homes, hospices, and temples around the country that are starting to recommend it.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. But anyways, the founder of it, she's a Reformed Jew, and she had never sat Shiva until her mother. And so she really, like, she kind of found herself at a loss.
Right.
Like what do I do?
Yeah.
Right. And so as she put together the website, she has fixed a problem in the Jewish community.
I think so.
It's kind of interesting.
That's just innovative right there.
Yeah,
that's great.
But I just the imagining this deluge of deli platters. Just there's something about that just tickled me.
We're overrun with pastrami. I don't know what to do with all of it. I have too many cured meats.
Yeah,
it's delicious, but what are you going to do with all of this? Yeah. Well, there you go. So Shiva is different than the ritual that I'm talking about, but I can't find the name of the thing that I was talking about.
Yeah, I thought it was because the image...
Shiva actually happens after the burial. Yeah. So the burial
takes place at like in someone's home.
Right. Yeah.
It takes place in the home,
and it's done by the immediate family, fathers, mother, children, spouse. It's just
like, that people show up and give their condolences and whatnot, right? Or do you just sit there and do your thing?
You just sit quietly.
Wow.
Ugh. Or something. I don't know. What the fuck do we know?
Awful.
We're not Jews.
No.
I mean, your last name is Feldman. You should know these things.
I don't, and I get accused
of Judaism.
No, my ignorance on Jewish things get pointed out to me.
You're like, what? I'm not Jewish.
Don't know.
Sorry. Yeesh. Boy, you combine our names, you get Daniel Feldman, and you'd
my goodness,
you'd have that's as Jewy as it gets.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk about in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Ooh, Spartanburg.
I know, it sounds kind of good.
Or Spartan.
I just want to see like scantily clad, really buff men yelling, "This is Spartanburg!"
I doubt that happens.
Yeah, I don't think
very often.
It should, though.
It might have happened once, like right at that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And they probably weren't even all that buff. They were just
It was right after that movie.
The football team.
It was the Halloween after that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch of guys dressed as that,
and they had to paint some abs on.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, that's good. Anyway, so this is a group called Upstate Atheists, and they wanted to go and help at a soup kitchen.
Oh, okay.
They thought that it would be nice to do some service.
Okay.
So they went to a soup kitchen, and unfortunately, they were turned away.
By whom?
Well, the group's director, the director of the soup kitchen, said that the kitchen was a, quote, place of God, and atheists weren't welcome there.
Well, it probably wasn't a good soup kitchen because you probably want one that's a place of food.
Yeah, exactly. You can't
and
eat
charity.
You can't eat God unless you're Catholic, and then it just tastes like a little wafer. Yeah. So the atheists, in response to this, decided that they would do their own project.
Oh, cool.
They got care packages, and they put them together. Things that have like socks, gloves, toothpaste, hand sanitizer,
Fantastic.
snacks.
Okay. Yeah.
And they put these and it cost about $15 each to get put together.
Okay.
And they were just going to give them away to the homeless. They were maybe a little snarky. Maybe this isn't snarky because you go where the homeless people are.
Right.
But they just went right across the street from that soup kitchen and started giving them away.
Oh, no. And
Well, so the lady, so a reporter spoke to the soup kitchen's director, who she said she would resign from her job before she let atheists volunteer and be a, quote, disservice to this community.
How is providing service ever a disservice?
Because Jesus, that's how.
That doesn't make an ounce of sense.
No, it doesn't. This is a ministry to serve God, she said. We stand on the principles of God. Do they think that our guests, they, meaning us, meaning atheists, do they think that our guests are so ignorant that they don't know what an atheist is? Why are they targeting us? They don't give any money. I wouldn't want their money. They don't give any money. I wouldn't accept their money.
Anyways.
Really? That's interesting.
Well, maybe that's why they haven't given you any.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were trying to help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know why you would deny the people, the community that you supposedly serve. Well, see, this also reveals a lot of the ulterior motives of soup kitchens,
right,
and whatnots. Down where I used to work, which was right across the street from one of the homeless shelters,
right.
There's this strange, very wide median in the road that's almost a park because it's so wide.
Yeah,
right. And there was this one preacher who would show up once a week, and they put up their little pop-up, cover things, and they had their table, and they had their little. They set up a food line right there in the middle of the park, and the homeless would gather around, and then dude would stand up on a box, had his PA that was all set up, and he'd proceed to preach and to pray with them before they could get
their food. Yeah.
Which is a form of spiritual extortion.
Yeah, of course it is.
And I always wanted to, I don't know, get a blowhorn and call them out. Because it would seriously, pissed me off every time I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, just
feed these people.
Feed them. They need it. Why are you here?
Right.
To get converts?
Right, exactly.
Right?
To show how Jesus-y you are.
Right.
Hey, look, I'm doing something Jesus would have done, and I want everyone to pay attention to how much I believe in Jesus, and Jesus is really important, and you guys should all accept Jesus, and everybody has to have Jesus.
Right. And it's totally missing the point of providing for the homeless.
Yeah.
In my
mind.
Totally missing the point, because so this woman, again, total ulterior motives. Of course she doesn't want atheists helping out, because she's not there
to feed
people.
She's there to steal their souls.
Oh, maybe.
The dread pirate Robert
if you put
is
it that
coming
way down,
for your soul.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my soul stolen if you said it like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you'd like to chime in.
Yes, chime away.
You can do so at facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Or email us. We've got a lot of emails. We're not even going to be able to get to them all today, but but email us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Same goes for voicemails. You can leave us a message, and we'll play your message.
Maybe
on the show.
Yeah.
424-666-8442, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah. It's great. It's a lot of fun. We're going to take a quick break, and we're
going to listen to some Pat
Robertson reared his
Frank doesn't even know what's coming. Frank has not heard this clip, so I like that.
The liberals, the so-called socialists, the progressives, they've moved away from God. And when you move away from God, then you say, we're humanists. And then as a result of humanity and rejecting God, you have the orgy of the French Revolution. You have the guillotine cutting off the heads of thousands of people. You have the same thing going on now in Europe. You had it under the Nazis. Why can't we come back to the fact that God loves people?
What?
This clip, more than any that I've ever heard, may be the proof that he's starting to daughter.
Yeah.
We got a doddering old man here.
Well, because apparently the guillotine is going again in Europe. Did I understand that part right?
Well, no, I think he wasn't connecting those. I think he was
That
just...
sounded like it to me.
But what he was saying didn't make any more sense than that. There's no part of that. I mean, it's just like it was just the random ramblings of like, if you let go of God, then you turn into Pol Pot, and you start eating the heads of chickens, and you dance a jig, and
Yeah.
he's just like literally fumbling for anything bad that could have happened and blaming it on like not having God.
Oh, Pat Robertson.
As you know,
Liberalism. It's liberalism again, right?
Right. Liberalism, and liberalism makes you get away from God.
Well, it leads to Nazism.
Well, yes, exactly.
Clearly, there's a strong
what could be more
connection between
liberal than Nazism?
Social nationalism.
And I do also love that Nazism is an atheist problem, considering the fact that they were all Christian.
Yeah. I don't know how that myth ever got out there.
Well, because they can't claim him. They can't claim Hitler.
Right, but they're confusing. They're mixing Stalin into it somehow.
Right. Well, Stalin was an atheist,
And Stalin was,
and
he
so was
ran
Mao,
an atheist regime.
and so was Mao,
know.
and that's great. We'll take Stalin and Mao, but you guys have to take Hitler.
Yeah,
That's just the facts.
yeah. Take 'em, Christians.
Come on, Christians.
There was a really bad Christian, and you have to take him.
Yeah, and you have to take all the other ones that
Yeah.
you guys have too.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch. We're not saying you're all bad,
No,
but let's be honest about
let's
this.
just be Let's be real. People are people, you know, and no group is going to be completely immune from having some real shitheads involved.
Right, and you can't blame atheism for communism
No.
unless you want to blame Christianity for Nazism. If you want to draw a direct link like that, you have to take your lumps too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do some. We have a lot of correspondence that I want to get to today.
A lot.
So I'm gonna launch in. Stephen wrote to us. He said he's from a small town in Georgia, or rather, he says a smallish town in Georgia.
Oh, so it's not very small.
Stephen,
What are we talking about?
smallish.
Maybe 30,000?
Yeah.
20 to 30,000 is smallish in my mind.
Okay. We'll call it that.
It's the size of Muskogee.
Okay. Smallish
You
town.
have a frame of reference.
I do have a frame of reference. I've been to Muskogee.
It's
I've eaten
smallish.
at the what was that barbecue place?
I
we
don't
went
know,
to?
but it was good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Anywho, Steven says, I'm writing to you with a question. I work at a small company in Georgia, so it's pretty typical that we have a rotating morning prayer at company meetings. The prayers are usually long, directionless, groveling affairs that really grate after a while. I can't come out as an atheist without the possibility of significant harm to my career, but I also want to fight back, if only in a small, admittedly slightly petty way. I was thinking I could offer up a quote from a movie or a book to a, and then in parentheses, another fictitious deity that would scratch the subversive itch, but was vague enough and had sufficient trappings of Christianity to make people think, oh, yes, he's one of us, but just a little weird.
Right.
Any suggestions?
I'm thinking the Griswold family prayer scene in Christmas Vacation.
You're gonna have to remind me. Do you have it pulled up?
Well, I have a clip of it pulled up.
Okay.
But I don't have I forget what. Oh, she says the Pledge of Allegiance. That's right.
Oh, is this a grandma?
She's
That's
like,
right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
I don't think you're gonna get away with that one. But I think you know what you could do is you could just say a straight prayer to Christian God, but just throw in a whole bunch of really liberal politics.
Oh,
Just to fuck with them.
right.
Just to make them think, what the hell is going on here?
Well, you have to bless Obama.
God bless our President Obama, that he will continue to make brilliant choices. God bless the American public will understand how good the Affordable Care Act is for them. Please bless us that we will not make such foolhardy choices in choosing our elected officials, including our governor, and blah, blah, blah. And you could do that.
Just make it really political. Yeah.
They'll never call on you again to say that prayer.
No, never.
I don't know. I frankly,
personally, I would stay away from it.
This
The
whole thing
idea.
is so disingenuous, and I know how much you want to get.
Yeah.
But if your
here's
goal
the
is
deal.
not to get in trouble and to keep your career on track, nothing you do will end up well for you.
Unless, here's the thing. So it must like go around the circle. Like,
Yeah.
does it come around to him at some point? He doesn't really say that, but it's kind of inferred.
It does feel like that might be
because
the case.
he's going to have his opportunity to say a prayer.
Right.
And so like that's a tough one. Like I think what's important here is to say something that to get up and say some nice things.
Yeah.
And but here's the one thing that I think is important. He knows his workplace and he knows his coworkers and boss. We don't.
Right.
And so if they could handle but that's the thing. Nobody can handle a joke around a prayer.
No. I mean, what
I was about to say if they can handle a joking prayer, but that doesn't work.
No. Here's what you could do. You don't have to mention God for a prayer.
That's true.
You can say, may we all be grateful for blah, blah, blah. May we all be kinder to each other. And may we learn to act in accordance with the best parts of our own humanity. Amen.
Yeah. Because amen is an okay word.
Amen just means so say we all.
Right.
So you could do that. If you want to, I mean, a movie quote might be funny if you're not going to get caught.
Right.
Like if you can come, I'm sure Star Trek has something in it that like someone makes these like grand pronouncements about. I mean, I'm sure there's something there that you could find that would just be like, humanity is grand and beautiful and blah,
sure.
blah. Or call Sagan. Get a Sagan quote.
A Sagan quote.
I'll bet you could find a really good Sagan quote.
Yeah.
And none of them are going to know it. So
yeah, no, yeah. It would be about just sneaking something like that in.
Right.
That's
still a lovely sentiment.
Lovely
that everybody can get behind.
On the surface, there's no snark about it.
Right.
That's the key here.
Avoid snark.
There can be no.
You must avoid
insert
snark. You must avoid snark. Anyway, you know what? So thanks, Stephen, for writing that. Nicholas actually wrote to us. And I just wanted to shout out to Nicholas. He didn't have a question for us, but he's in the military.
Right.
He says it's been tough. Talk about workplace Christianity.
Well, he talked about prayer and whatnot.
Yeah, he talked about like everywhere he looks, there's prayer, and if you don't participate, like your job is in jeopardy. Your promotions, all that sort of thing.
Right.
So Nicholas, thank you for your service to our country, and keep up the good work and trying not to go crazy.
Yeah.
Danielle wrote to us, said, "Hey, Frank and Dan, I received an email." She forwarded us the email from a guy I haven't seen in 5 years or more. It's pretty obvious that he just sent it to everyone in his friends list. I've gotten emails from him before touting untruths, and I've conveniently hit reply all and corrected the untruths with real evidence, hoping to encourage people on his contact list to think critically. I know everything stated below in the email that she forwarded us is xenophobic bullshit. I just don't know what to say. I feel like I should say something, though. I could simply tell my Gmail to send any future message from him straight to the trash, but I could also use this as another opportunity to send a rational reply to everyone on his forward list and hopefully prevent someone from blindly believing everything they hear from xenophobic idiots.
Yeah.
She has no idea what to do, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? She says WWF and DDD. What would Frank and Dan do? Is what she's saying.
Well, I'll tell you what I did do.
Yeah.
My father enjoyed this practice for a while. An email, when he discovered it, was just I don't even know what happened.
Yeah.
He just went nuts forwarding crap all over the internet.
Right.
Any stupid little chainmail thing that came his way was getting forwarded around.
We need to take email away from the world.
Yeah.
I don't think it's helped.
Ugh.
Go back to snail mail.
Yeah. I wish. But anyways, he I didn't do a reply all.
Right.
I just sort of repeatedly did a reply directly to him. And something as simple as just like going on to Snopes would give me exactly what I needed to undermine whatever the message was, this horrible thing,
Sharia law coming to
America, exactly. Microwaves are killing us, whatever it was. Just snopes, and then I would send it, but directly to him.
Right.
I didn't want to embarrass him. I felt that could be perceived as like trying to embarrass him. That was my father.
Sure.
For some douchebag you haven't seen in 5 years,
a nice public shaming might be the
public
right
shaming
thing.
might work. You know.
I don't know. You know, I had a similar experience. My father-in-law sent out an email to, and usually he just sends me some shit just to needle me. And I've asked him to stop, and then he stops for a while, and then he forgets that I've asked him to stop, and he sends me more shit. But this one, there was one recently that he sent out to everybody that he knows. Everybody, all of his family members. I mean, he knows like 50 people. He doesn't know that many people,
right?
But he just sent it out to his whole email list, and it was bullshit.
Okay,
it was stupid, and it was clearly like really prejudiced shit. It was about the Obama administration. You know, yes, the NSA's been spying on everybody, but do you know who they haven't been spying on? Mosques. Obama's protecting the mosques.
Which is, I love that it goes there.
Why aren't they spying on the ones?
Definitely, the mosques have been spied on.
Right, exactly. Like,
there's like no doubt the mosques have been spied on.
But this email is like, see, the people that we're most in danger from are being protected by this administration.
Jesus.
And of course, what they're citing is this thing on the FBI's website. It's not even to do with the NSA, but the FBI has a provision that says if something is extra sensitive, like any religion or political group, you have to get extra permission to spy on them.
Oh, okay.
That's their rule. Yeah. And that's what they were using to say. And all they would say is, they're not spying on the mosques. You have to get a special, and you have to get a special permission just to spy on a mosque.
Right.
But so I hit reply all. I included the actual like thing from the FBI's website. And you're right. It takes like 10 minutes to research this shit out because somebody else has already done it. I guarantee you, somebody else has already researched this.
Right.
And they can point you to exactly where you need to go. And always get the first, if you're going to be snarky like this and hit the reply all, always make sure that you go to primary sources.
Right, yeah.
Don't just link to another blog.
Oh, dear God, no. Because that doesn't prove anything.
No, that doesn't prove a damn thing. But link to primary sources, show everybody what it's all about.
Yeah.
Use use full quotations with context.
Right.
And suddenly you're there. Does it help anything?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, maybe. I know that 2 of my father-in-law's brothers wrote to me and was like, well, that probably pissed David off, but you were right. Good job. And I was like, okay.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, this goes back to the I can't remember if we talked about this on the show. This study that looked into how people respond to surveys. Did we talk about that one?
I don't know.
So the idea is that people on political surveys will answer questions more in support of their political leanings rather than their knowledge of the truth.
Right.
Right.
Well,
and
Jimmy Kimmel points this out on a regular basis.
Yeah. And so like they did this this test where they were actually offering, a prize for actually getting the answers correct rather than just answer the question.
Right.
And they found that the accuracy of the responses shot through the roof.
Of course they did.
Everybody ran to the middle, ran to the facts, and actually answered the question rather than just defend, like not wanting to embarrass their political side.
Right.
And that's how people actually
rather
respond.
than just hanging with their tribe.
The fact of the matter is, if you actually engaged your father-in-law on this issue, he might sit there and defend it. His position.
But if I had a prize to offer him.
But if you actually were like, David, I'll give you $20. Except no, that's making him betray it. But somehow reform it somehow where there was a prize for just acknowledging the truth.
Right. But also like it couldn't come from me.
It couldn't come from you. Yeah, no, you're right.
But if I got him onto a game show that offered him money to get the answer correct.
Right.
He might actually think. He might not. He's really good at like locking down and self-deluding.
You think he really believes that stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. No,
he's a racist guy. He doesn't talk that way. He manages to keep it to himself. But then you get little snippets like this. And
so he's not like my parents where they just come out and say reveal their racism.
No, he's not. But boy, he hates this president. And he's willing to believe anything bad about him. All right. Anyway, thanks, Danielle, for your email.
Yes, thank you.
Willow wrote to us. She heard our last episode 101, and we had an email from a listener who wanted the Mormons to leave him alone because they were bothering his wife. Do you remember this?
I do.
But he didn't want to remove his name from the Mormon Church because he thought that would really upset his parents.
Right. Yeah.
So what is a fella to do? And Willow relayed this interesting little story. She said when the Prop 8 issue came out, and there was a push to have people remove their names from the membership lists, she decided it was time to be counted as a non-member. She says, so I wrote my official resignation letter and sent it in. The church records officials wrote me back and said that I hadn't been a member since 1992. But if I ever wanted to rejoin, just let them know.
What?
She said, I was shocked. At first, I couldn't figure out what they were talking about. Then I remembered that in 1992, I had just left home for college, and the missionaries found me. I got really annoyed when they continued to showing up after I politely asked them to go away. So, being a lawyer's daughter, I threatened to sue the church for harassment if they didn't leave me alone. Apparently, this is the point that I became a non-member, although I guess they were so afraid of being sued that they never bothered to tell me that that's what they were doing.
What? How does that even work?
They just took her off the rolls.
They dusted their feet of her.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I didn't know that could even happen.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
I mean, I guess if you're threatening lawsuit...
Yeah.
But you would think that you'd have to... I guess the missionaries have some power.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow.
Here's the thing. She did also suggest, she said that she and her husband is still officially a member of the church, so they were getting regular visits from various missionaries and members.
Right.
And all they did was call the local bishop.
Right.
They found what their ward was, called the bishop, and just asked him to stop sending people, and he did.
Oh, yeah.
She says that may change once the next bishop comes around.
Right.
So it may be every 4 years or so when the bishop changes, you have to call him up and say, hey, by the way, we're not sending people to my house now. Just so that you know, that's how we're doing this.
Right. Well, and she says that they sort of explained the situation, right?
Right.
That they were like, he doesn't want his mother to know. It would hurt his mother.
Right.
But he doesn't believe this anymore.
Right.
And so please just honor that.
They'll probably be accommodating. Mormons tend to be fairly reasonable with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
depending on the bishop.
Depending on the bishop.
Yeah.
So that's something you can try. Thanks, Willow, for pointing that out.
Yeah.
And then Jason in Panama, our friend Jason in Panama, who's in the Peace Corps, he says, I've gotten myself a PayPal account to subscribe to you. I figure after 2 years of listening to you, I could afford to send a few bucks your way. Also, I extended my Peace Corps service a third year and got a bit of a raise in my stipend. So send your thanks to Uncle Sam and his counterparts in Congress who indirectly support your cause. He says, on a side note, there are a few of us heathen Peace Corps volunteers down here listening to us. And it makes me wonder if you have many other Peace Corps volunteers listening in other countries. And we'd be fascinated to hear that.
That would
so
be interesting.
if you're in the Peace Corps and you're not Jason, send us a note. Just say hi. It'd be great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
But what this points out, kids, all you kids,
yeah,
is that a guy who's in the Peace Corps,
yeah,
is breaking off a piece of every paycheck and sending it to us.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
He's kind of putting some of you people to shame, listeners. And you know who else is doing that?
Who?
We got a whole bunch of people. We got Stephen has sent us a
excellent.
Thank you, a donation. We've got a new Jason's a new subscriber. We just talked about that.
Yeah,
We've also got Cameron, who's a new subscriber, who might be the Cameron that we met last night.
Oh,
shout out,
yeah.
Cameron! What up?
Yeah,
how's it going? It was nice to meet you at the meetup last night. Lee has sent us another donation. Lee is very generous. This is Lee from Australia.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you, Lee.
And she bought a shirt too.
My goodness! Wow,
I know. Huh. She's a peach. That Lee. And Kelsey is a new subscriber as well. So fantastic. I just wanted to shout out to all these guys. Oh, Kelsey, I think also bought a shirt.
Wonderful. Thank you guys.
If you guys want to buy a shirt, or if you want to donate to our happy cause, and actually it's becoming a cause. We're actually in the works currently trying to plan out a nice servicey sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I figure might as well join the meetup with doing something.
With making some good stuff happen. So it will be that, and we'll also probably hit you guys up for money then when we know exactly what the cause is too. But just to support the podcast and the wonderful things that we're doing, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com and then click on the donate button.
Yeah.
Which is on the right side of the screen.
Yeah,
and that's also where you can find shirts for sale.
Yeah. It's all there.
TGIA shirts.
Yeah.
They're great.
GodI'mAtheist.com. All right, we do have a couple voicemails.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to play.
Please do.
We have, let's see, which one did I want to do first? Oh, let's do this one first. I love this one.
Hi, this is Nate from Missouri. I'm a first-time caller, and I actually did go to Parkway School District, so I actually know the superintendent. I've talked to him before, and I have a teacher who is on the Missouri House State of Representatives, and I talked to her about this bill, and she was flabbergasted that I even paid attention. And she started calling it the Christmas bill during class, and brought up the fact about the fireworks and running around naked. She thought that was funny. And she wants to tell you guys that she'll go and try to make changes to it and tweak it so that it's not specific to Christmas and 4th of July. And I told her that the fur was on her back, and she got a little scared, and I talked about the war on Christmas, and you could see her mind going a million miles an hour and trying to rush to her colleagues and try to fix it. And I would also like to bring up that it's pronounced Missouri, not Missouri. We're civilized. And that Missouri was a slave state when it first started, when it first came into the Union. And I really like your show. I really hope you keep doing it. I know I was late for the 100th episode, but keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Awesome.
Aw.
That is great.
Yeah, so the reference that he's making is to a story that we did about a law that's been passed in Missouri.
Yes.
I like Missouri. I'm going to just call it Missouri. I have met at least one person who was from there who that's what she called it, was Missouri.
Clearly, though, an uncivilized.
A fully uncivilized woman from Missouri. Anyway, so yeah, they passed this law that says that you can't inhibit the celebration of a federal holiday. Yeah. And we suggested that maybe running around naked might be a fun way to celebrate a federal holiday then, and good. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can do apparently you can do anything you want now.
Right.
It's
there was
for a federal holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. But there was also the suggestion that if this goes if people, take this case all the way up through the court system, that it could cause problems in general for the status of Christmas as a federal holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like that. I like that he went and talked to her, and
I think that's amazing.
And that we scared her a little bit. We're coming for you, Missouri.
Woo! All right.
Sorry, Missouri.
And then we have another lovely voicemail.
Hey, Frank and Dan, this is Tom in Denver. I just heard your show where you were joking that observant Jews could wear a yarmulke made of hair, but they already beat you to it. I used to work at Yeshiva University in New York City, and the women there would often wear wigs over their real hair so that their heads were covered. I don't understand it, but it was common on campus, and so they're already there. We're talking about the wearing of overt religious paraphernalia, and I think it's a great idea. You wear something small for yourself, that's cool, but you're on the city's time. You should not be a billboard for your ideology. I wouldn't be wearing a Darwin fish that was 3 inches long around my neck either, because that would be an advertisement and not to me personally. That's how I see it. Love your show.
All right, well, thank you.
Mazel tov for that information. That was I guess we should have realized that, of course, they would have thought of this.
If any group was going to come up with a good workaround, it would be the Jews.
The Jews are impressive at their technicalities.
Yeah, yeah.
They can work a technicality.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's not my real hair.
Wear hair over your hair and you're fine.
It's not my real hair. No. I don't have to cover this hair.
Yeah.
It's not my real hair.
Why would I cover somebody else's hair?
Yeah.
This is not my hair. This hair was on some other person's head. I'm just wearing it as a hat.
It's my hair hat.
This is my hair cover. It's hair. It's made of hair that's nicer than my own.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's amazing.
There you go.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Okie doke.
So,
Ooh. Oh, Dad, you're scaring me.
actually, you know what? Ghosts are need to be more a part of Halloween.
Why is that?
Well, just because. Okay, so we're talking Halloween here, folks.
It's all Halloween. The rest of the show.
And I, in my research, you and I tried to make sure that we looked at different sources,
Right.
For our Halloween research.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it. Here's one of the things that I love about Halloween. As with so many of our holidays, the roots of Halloween are in sort of pagan, Celtic ritual.
Well, that's what Europeans were.
Yeah.
Until Christianity came along the way.
And ruined everything.
And yeah.
Yes, indeed. So there was this there's this Celtic druidic thing called Samhain, although I got a pronunciation on that.
Sahin.
Or Samhain or
Samhain.
Soin or
Soin.
I'm gonna call it Samhain because I like it better.
That's the incorrect pronunciation.
Correct. You are right.
Okay.
But I enjoy
Just
it.
so everybody knows.
Yeah, the incorrect pronunciation is Samhain, which is how I'm going to pronounce it.
Okay. You go for it.
Because that's how it's spelled. Learn to spell, Celts.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Celts, this is like 2,000 years ago, the Celts are practicing this thing, and it's all about the new year for them, which starts on November 1st.
Yeah.
Because that's when they make the switch from summer to winter.
Yeah.
Winter. And it's all scary. I don't know.
Okay.
Because winter's cold.
Why is
and
winter scary?
I don't know. It's cold and it's dark.
Winter sound like in a small little place where you have to live, you're out farming and you're working and you're this and you're that. Like, it, like years ago, obviously, centuries ago. Sounds so it sounds so nice. You get your break. You just, everything's cozy,
Yeah.
Winter. I bet they looked forward to winter. In a way.
I don't prefer winter. I don't like
they
being
cold. Live off of their labors,
and hope that they survive.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Celts 2,000 years ago are celebrating this holiday that we're going to mispronounce the whole time, and it's all about the move from summer to winter, and it's about October the 31st, the end of October, becomes this day when the Druids believe that the veil between the living and the dead is a little blurrier. Yeah. Is a little less stringent. Yes. And so there's this whole thought that spirits are sort of interacting with you.
And little, they
would light bonfires and they would have all of these different things. People would wear like costumes.
Yeah. And I read something about the bonfires that there was actually, that it served, at least in their minds, a practical purpose, which the bonfires would attract insects to the light, which would then attract bats. Oh. And I don't know why bats were good, but they wanted the bats to show up.
Huh. Maybe bats... That smells like bullshit to me, but maybe that's a real thing.
I read it!
Yeah, I know.
Don't call bullshit.
I'm calling bullshit on plenty of the things that we read because there's a lot of shit out there that's just like, it's people's best guess on something or whatever. Right. Anyway, but we do, but they would dress in costumes, usually consisting of like animal heads and skins.
Ew, gross.
And they would tell each other's fortunes and all of these things that actually are fairly recognizable today.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then of course the Christians take over, and as the Christians like to do, so in 609 A.D., Pope Boniface, Bonaducci.
Boniface?
It could be Boniface, but that's not how the Latin pronunciation would be. But that's okay.
Boniface.
Anyway, Pope Boniface the IV dedicated the Pantheon in Rome in honor of all Christian martyrs.
Yeah,
and called it All Martyrs Day. He invented All Martyrs Day, which was in May.
Oh,
and then centuries later, Pope Gregory III. This is like 1 century later. He expanded the festival to include All Saints as well as All Martyrs, and moved that observance to November 1st.
Yeah.
So that's All Saints Day.
Yes.
And then they decided, of course,
exists.
Right, exactly. And then they decided, of course, that they were going to blend it with the Celtic rites and like gobble up the Celtic tradition for their own.
Ooh.
So they made November 2nd All Souls Day to honor the dead, and it's largely believed that they were attempting to replace the Celtic Festival of the Dead with a related but church sanctioned holiday.
Right.
And they celebrated it very similarly to how they celebrated Samhain.
Right.
Which was with big bonfires, parades, dressing up in costumes as saints and angels and devils.
Uh-huh.
And, basically they just did the same thing. Called it All Hallows Day a lot of the time.
Well, I read a thing that said that the 3 days of Halloween, All Saints, and All Souls is Hallowmass.
Right. Yep. So
that's interesting.
All Hallows Eve becomes Halloween, and that's where we get the name. And here's the thing: they did the same shit with Christmas.
Yeah.
They did the same shit with Easter. They took old Druidic and pagan rituals,
yes,
honoring the winter solstice, the spring, the coming of spring, and they made it about Jesus. And in those cases, the Christians won entirely.
Right.
They kept it. It's theirs, blah, blah, blah. Halloween is one of my favorites because the Christians didn't win. It's not about Jesus. The reason for the season? Spooky ghosts.
Yeah, that's true. It's the war on Halloween.
We need to, the Christians really need to get on the ball about that.
The war on Halloween.
That war is won.
It is.
We won. We declare victory. I mean, do we declare it a victory? Because it's more a victory for druids, and that's not exactly us.
The enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Something like that. Anyway, so that's one of the things that is fun about Halloween.
Yay!
Is that who the fuck celebrates All Hallows Day?
Yeah. Well, I will say this. While looking around, I found pictures of people like in churches on Halloween, celebrating. Let's see, what does this say? Christians observing the vigil of All Hallows at an Episcopal church on Halloween is the caption on this photo.
Boring.
And I can't imagine a worse thing to do.
It's clearly wrong.
Yeah,
wrong.
And this photo was taken. This guy's wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So not too long ago. And obviously, in the United States and Canada, we have our long-held sort of very just kind of, it's fun tradition about Halloween.
Which is interesting. Part of where that comes from is that the Puritans who first really colonized this what do you call it? The whole continent. Thank you. Sometimes the words don't come. Anyway, the Pilgrims were intensely puritanical, so they didn't want to fuck around with this at all.
No.
It had to start. It started not up in New England, but sort of down in the southern colonies. Started to do it. We just did it our own way. Americans started to do it our own way, and we've been doing it our own way ever since. And that's changed over the centuries.
Right. Well, I read a lot about like the sheer amounts of, the huge amounts of Scottish and Irish immigrants.
Right.
And how they brought a lot of their traditions and observances and blah, blah, blah. And that's also sort of how Halloween became a lot more popular.
Right.
And I read a lot about sort of in this not this century, in the 1900s, sort of the progression of how it started to become more and more popular, and how we started to see the emergence of a lot of our current traditions surrounding Halloween.
Yeah.
For example, getting dressed up in costumes wasn't really that common for the trick-or-treaters, the kids,
Right.
until like the 1930s.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, kids would run around and like play tricks on people,
Sure,
and beg for food.
but the idea of dressing up as Spider-Man,
Right. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was
that's
Well,
totally.
And initially, the dressing up was related to sort of the traditional holiday. So
Sure,
it was
they were-
about dressing up as ghosts, or dressing up as devils, or dressing up as witches,
goblins,
all of these things.
spooky, scary, sort of
Right.
things.
And then latter half of the 20th century, that just sort of fell away, and it was just like, what are you dressed as? I'm a clown.
Right.
A clown? What does that have to do with? I'm having fun.
Right.
And then it's like, yay, okay.
And then it's about out clevering everybody.
Right. Exactly.
You know, like one of my favorite pictures I saw, while kind of brainstorming for my Halloween gift or costume, if I do one, was a guy. The costume was Guy in Hurricane. And so he has an umbrella that's inverted. His hair's all messed up. He has a newspaper page that's like been starched.
Oh, and it's blowing against his leg.
And he had this pose where it looked like he was up against some wind.
Did he have a tie flying back?
He had a tie
behind him?
going back.
That's
and I was
fun.
like, that's clever. But news reporter in Hurricane is where I want to take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Of
know.
course, you need to be a news reporter
It's a
in
news
Hurricane.
reporter in Hurricane.
Yeah.
That's clear. That's the image. But anyways,
Yeah.
I thought that one was funny. But that's the whole thing. Is it's not even remotely related to anything now.
Nothing's connected at all.
It's not even about being spooky anymore. I mean, the iconography of it is still kind of spooky and scary.
And if you go around in this neighborhood, you will see plenty of inflatable spookiness. Our neighborhood is very into the Walmart giant inflatable spider, giant inflatable Santa,
we're doing not for Halloween, but Brent and I are doing it for Christmas this year.
You're gonna go full
We're
tacky.
going inflatable Christmas on our yard.
That is so awful.
We've decided that we're right there. We're right on that corner. That's a high traffic corner.
It's so funny.
know?
I used to live in
decorate.
a pretty posh neighborhood down in the southern part of the valley,
Uh-huh.
and there was this, and we had a great view in the house that we were in,
Uh-huh.
and then on Christmas time, our neighbors just below us, sort of in the sight lines of our view, got this big giant inflatable Santa that would sort of dance around and stuff, and it was just like, ugh, really
Judging.
we're gonna go tacky.
Judging. Yeah.
I was judging.
No, I'm all about,
in this neighborhood it fits right in this neighborhood, who could complain?
it'll make all of our neighbors so happy. The kids across the street, the old woman next to us, the people across the corner or kitty corner from us who are always staring.
They're always out. Why are they?
They're always out and they're always kind of staring. Like
go back in your house.
When we were ripping the siding off the house, they were all like out there just watching.
Are they concerned? What are those gay boys doing? What are those two roommates doing?
Yeah.
It's nice that they live together, but they should find themselves some good girls.
They seem very close.
Go find yourself a nice girl.
Yeah.
My church group has some great girls that you could meet.
Wouldn't do it.
Anyway, so there you go. I mean, what we have now, and what I love is that American Halloween is spreading.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because in the UK, they had some traditions for Halloween, but our friend Rowan, who's from the UK, is saying that like now they're starting to go door to door. They're starting to dress their kids up. All this stuff that wasn't happening over there.
Right.
Because it's fun.
Right.
We win. We have the funnest tradition. Nothing to do with Jesus. Nothing to do with saints. We have the funnest tradition. We win.
For Halloween. Because let me tell you, usually America's not great for coming up with great traditions.
I know.
But this one's good.
We're not good at traditions because we're young.
Right.
We're new.
Yeah.
We're new. And we were founded by a bunch of fuddy-duddies.
Yeah.
Our whole country started with a bunch of like, England isn't letting us be boring and Christian enough. We're going somewhere else where we can be as angry and boring and Christian as we want to be.
Yeah.
Rawr.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to start a country.
No.
It's a bad start to a country.
Yeah.
Unlike Australia, where it's just like all of the criminals go there and party town.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at them.
Right, Lee?
They're great.
In Australia, right? All of our Australian listeners, we have a bunch.
I know.
I want to go there.
I know.
Let's go to there.
I know.
I hope you guys are celebrating Halloween there.
I bet it's like spring for them.
I know. But it'd still be fun.
Yeah.
It's the wrong season. Maybe you guys can have your Halloween
But how nice would getting all dressed up and running around your neighborhood be
in
if
springtime?
it was like spring?
It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
It's like the tradition of the Christmas swim, right?
The Christmas swim?
Or the Christmas day on the beach.
Is that a thing in
I think
Australia?
I've heard a few Australians mention that before, that like Christmas is about like the nice weather.
It's so funny because Christmas is so associated with winter here. Like all of our songs are about sleigh bells ring, you know, all of our songs are about white Christmas and blah, blah, blah. And then we export all of these songs. Everybody uses our songs.
Right.
So it's got to suck to be in, Australia, and the best songs are all about snow.
Well, maybe they're their own.
Yeah, maybe they do.
I hope they do.
They have Tim Minchin's White Wine in the Sun.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Really?
That one, oh yeah, it made me cry.
Oh.
I was like, oh, it was so tender and touching. It's a beautiful Christmas song.
Oh. Well, we have completely derailed.
So what?
Okay. Well, let's rein it back in.
Well, trick or treat, everybody.
Yeah.
I hope you go out and dress like idiots and somebody please send us a picture of them being, a sexy nun or whatever. That's not
sexy nun.
It's not that clever. It's been done before.
Yeah.
If you've got a clever sexy something, I told
sexy Muhammad.
Right. I told somebody, a friend of ours, Erica. You remember our friend Erica,
and
friend of the show,
friend
Erica.
of the show, Erica.
She posted on Facebook because she's a costume maker.
Oh, I know.
She makes amazing things.
Did
you see her?
Seen her costumes.
Amazing.
They're fantastic.
So she's like, "What should I do? I'm going to go out and win some costume contests and get some money."
Right.
And she was like, "Unless 22-year-old sexy nurse shows up."
Right.
And I suggested that her costume could be high concept 22-year-old sexy nurse. And her concept is, I'm a 22-year-old who believes that my only worth comes from being sexy, and that and now, all I really can do is try and get what will eventually turn out to be unwanted sexual attention from men. And then I suggested is she running with
that?
How do you run with that? It's impossible. But I also suggested that her boyfriend be 22-year-old guy who really actually wants to abandon traditional modes of masculinity but can't find a way around it and feels that he has to be like a frat boy and behave himself in a way that's contrary to what he knows is his humanity, but societal pressures are too strong.
Wow.
It's a difficult costume.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
I'm not quite sure of the execution.
Yeah, it's more it's conceptually it works, but you need
it's a concept. If by conceptually it works you mean that it is a concept, you're correct.
It qualifies as a concept. Anyway.
Well, facebook.com/TGIAtheist is a great way to follow the conversation the rest of the week.
Absolutely is. Or you can email us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail at 424-666-8442.
Have a happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for their music.
Hope they have a happy Halloween.
Hope they do too. Oh, everyone have a happy Halloween.
Get spooky, people.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, guys.